So our buddy David here is dealing with a situation where his mother is severely depressed due to circumstances in her life, so much so that she's even gotten cancer. She's made herself sick. According to the doctor, the cancer is a byproduct of the stress that she's dealing with, particularly at work. And she just so happens to be working for her sister, and her sister seems to be sort of a tyrant. And our friend Brian goes on to say that it'd be easy to say that she should just quit, but it seems as if she's caught in this web of dysfunction where her sister will make her life hell, and so on and so forth. So her mom is, I'm going to use this term lightly, but to describe the way you're sharing it with me, a victim of her circumstances. And it's very difficult for us to watch our parents suffer. It really is. I'm a parent and I'm a child. Go figure. And I have a perspective based on both. So I understand. I mean, what could be worse than to watch your mother, your earth, the womb from which you proceeded into this world, suffer, knowing also that perhaps something can be done. And Brian comes to this with this question as to, how does he go about this? This is going to be one of those videos where I say something that's harsh and a lot of people aren't going to like or understand. That's usually what it is when people become upset about the harsh ideas that I share in some of the videos. It's that you don't yet understand. And of course I sound arrogant saying that way, but if you understood, you'd realize that life is harsh in many ways, and sometimes harsh ideas, the acceptance of harsh ideas is resourceful to us. And the one that I'd like you to be with is this idea that we cannot, nor is it our responsibility, to save our parents. In fact, it is our greatest responsibility to springboard off of them to the greatest of our abilities and not carry any of their baggage with us. There's a great poem by, it's called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. It's called On Parenting. I'd invite you to go look at it, but basically he uses the metaphor of parents being a bow and the child being the arrow. And the objective of the parent in its life of raising the child is to bend as far as it can to set forth the arrow of their children into the future. And when me as a parent take that perspective, it allows me to recognize that my part in this evolution of humankind is to do the best that I can, even if I have to break my back to support my children in becoming the strongest version of themselves and not give them any of my shit. Now that's almost impossible. They're going to, they say the children bear the sins of the parents. They're going to get some of my fucked upness. And I've got some of my parents' fucked upness. But the entire purpose of this whole thing of having children is to send your children off into the future to do better than you have. My dad is a big proponent of this. He says this often. He's like, I just want you to be better than me. Don't worry about me. He's a staunch libertarian in that way, like individualist. He's like, look, when I get sick and old, just put me somewhere, put me in a chair in the sun and leave me alone. Don't worry about me. You go and you become the strongest version of yourself. You go and do the best that you can. Now, of course, he's probably more crazy than I am in that way. So of course I'm going to support him and take care of him. And also my mother, she's had some difficult times. She had a difficult childhood. She had difficult circumstances in her family. Her body is riddled with many diseases that are a byproduct of the pain that she's experienced in the rough life. And she has bent her body. That's another part of the reason why our parents suffer. My parents in particular, because they bend themselves in order to support us. It is our responsibility not to save them from that, but to honor it and use it so that we can do a better job of sending our children. When I say better, I don't necessarily mean of quality. I just mean in progression, moving forward. We've got to move forward. We can't toil in the past with past hurts. For you to continue to suffer with your mom, which is normal, but without the perspective of, I've got to take this suffering and use it as motivation to do great things in the world in her name, as opposed to taking the suffering and pain and using it to save her, is a very important place to begin coming from. I'm not saying be cold-hearted or incompassionate. You have no compassion for your mother. That's not the case. We can't help ourselves. We love our mommies, right? Till the day we die or the day they die, we love our mommies. But you got to take up your sword and take action in the world in their honor. You can't stay home and feed her. You can't stay home and pet her. You can't stay home and take care of her. You can't save her from her circumstances with her sister. Okay? I'm not saying she isn't being victimized, because that does happen. But I'm also alluding to the fact that perhaps there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. You don't want to get tangled up in that. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to her. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to the world. You're doing 3 disservices by tangling with your mother's dysfunction. Again, it doesn't mean don't love or appreciate or honor her. It means move from a different place. If you don't take this piece of advice that I'm sharing with you, the disservice is threefold. It's a disservice to yourself, obviously, because you're going to be carrying heavy baggage associated with past pains that aren't going to allow you to spring forth in the world and be all that you can be. You can't be the strongest version of yourself if you're carrying your mom's pain, if you're carrying her baggage, her and her sisters and the drama thereof. You've got better things to fucking do. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. You've got to move forward. Number 2, you're doing a disservice to your mother by coddling her in this way. She is best served by you becoming the strongest version of yourself. And you know what? Create a women's organization once you've made your way, or make that your mission. Some non-for-profit that serves underprivileged women. Do something else, but you can't languish with her. You're doing her a disservice by not moving forward, because you are the springboard from which her legacy moves forward. You gotta go, whether she likes it or not. And guess what? You also do a disservice to all of us. To God, the universe, and all of mankind, because you have a gift. We all do. You have some way to serve the world that you are not serving them with, because you're wallowing in the languish of your mother's pain and suffering with her and not moving forward. What about the 10,000 women? What about the 100,000, maybe million women that you might be able to support by taking up your sword and, in her honor, developing something that will serve women in pain for generations to come? How honorable would that be for your mother? So again, I guess I have to stop apologizing, because, harsh is just fucking harsh. But I know this is an idea that's going to support you. It may be a difficult pill to swallow. A difficult one to look at as a child, having parents that suffer, and also as a parent. Because recognize, parent, that you are the sacrifice for your children. I can't see it any other way. I am the sacrifice. I am the lamb for my children's future. I bend and break if I have to in order to send them forth with the greatest capacity for self-development and service to the world that I possibly can. Am I doing all the right things? Did our parents do all the right things? Who knows what the right things are? But you do everything that you can with what you have right where you are. And you spend yourself as a parent, sending your children forward. And you don't look back. Done.